Hi, welcome to another video from Malleable Strength. I'm Coach Pete.
And I'm Kate.
Yep. This is our second video here. On the first, we covered squats. Today we're going to be talking about breathing and bracing as well as hinging movements.
The hinging movements we'll be covering are the Romanian deadlift and a traditional deadlift, and why you would focus on one versus the other. Let's get started. Okay, first we're going to be talking about breathing and bracing. This is called the Valsalva maneuver that we're going to be using. It's a breathing technique that involves taking a deep breath and holding it while you lift. This creates intra-abdominal pressure, which can help stabilize your spine and generate more force. So Peter's going to demonstrate this. First, you tighten your core like you're about to be punched in the stomach. And then you're going to push your core outward as you take a nice deep breath into your stomach and create the intra-abdominal pressure. This increases your stability. And then after you do that and you hold it, then you can do your squats or your deadlifts.
Yeah, so we're going to use this empty can analogy here. We have our empty can versus the full can. The idea with the breathing and bracing is to create that full can, that nice strong cylinder that's going to be able to withstand all the pressure of squatting and deadlifting. And then this empty can, if we neglect our breathe and brace, we're going to see what happens once we apply that load. So for this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and place these on the ground. First, if we've forgotten our breathe and brace and go for the lift, go ahead and apply that pressure. And, well, you might just fail your lift or you might hurt yourself. This breathing and bracing, creating this intra-abdominal pressure, it's what it's doing is going to protect your spine, so you're not going to have any back issues from squatting and deadlifting. But if we do follow our proper breathe and brace and apply that load, then it's no problem.
All right. Except your balance, right?
Yep. All right. Now we're going to talk about our hinge patterns, the conventional deadlift versus the Romanian deadlift. The conventional deadlift, as opposed to the other two of your three big lifts, the squat and the bench press, those two will start with an eccentric motion, whereas the deadlift is going to start with a concentric motion. Starting with an eccentric motion, you're going to have more time to make corrections as you lower and before you raise up. But with the deadlift, I mean, the position that you start in is really going to dictate whether or not you complete the lift. So we're going to have Kate enter here and give us a demonstration. First up is going to be our stance. What she's going to want to do is when she looks down, she's going to want to see that that bar kind of cuts her feet right in half. So we want that bar to be right in the middle of her feet.
Okay.
All right, next up is the grip. What you want to do is take a grip so that's when you have long arms, they're going to be quite tight at your side. For most people, it's going to be right where the knurling starts on the barbell, pretty close to where Kate's grabbing here. You can either do a double overhand, or you can do a mixed grip, or you can do hook gripped. We compete in strongman, so we're allowed to use straps. So that's what we'll typically do. Because what's going to happen in a mixed grip, you're going to have one shoulder in internal rotation and one shoulder in external rotation, kind of putting you a little more of a risk of a bicep tear on your underhand grip. So we kind of like the double overhand and using straps in strongman. So she's going to go ahead and take her double overhand grip so that her arms are straight at her side. She is going to kind of squat down to the bar, that is shortening the hamstrings. She's going to pull the slack out of the bar, and she's going to focus on pushing the earth away from her feet. And then once she gets that bar to her knees, she's going to focus on driving those hips through. All right? All right, for our second hinge movement, we're going to be talking about the Romanian deadlift. This is going to begin with an eccentric portion, and then you're going to execute your concentric portion, the eccentric being the shortening of the hamstrings, the concentric being the lengthening of the hamstrings. So this is going to start with walking the bar out of the rack as opposed to it being on the floor, basically. So Kate's going to come on up here. She's going to take her grip around the bar, pretty similar, about shoulder width apart. She's going to walk the bar out, practice her breathing and bracing, and she's going to go ahead, keep those knees kind of soft, and then she's going to initiate the movement by pushing her hips backwards, lowering the bar. The bar should be kind of in a straight up and down movement. And push back up by driving through those hips. You should feel a really nice stretch in your glutes and hamstrings. Go ahead and lower again. And maybe a little bit low. You really want to stop before your back starts to round. You want to keep that neutral spine throughout. Typically, you're going to be coming up just above the knee, or just below the knees is where you're typically going to be lowering the bar to. All right, one more time. Push those hips back. And push them back forward. All right, that looks good. This is a great strengthener of the glutes and hamstrings. It's a really nice accessory for the deadlift, getting you stronger at that deadlift and just bringing you some nice variation. All right, thanks for tuning in for another video from Malleable Strength. There should be plenty more to follow. Our next one will be covering our first pressing movement.
We'll see you next time.